And we are back with another Monday preview. I am your host, the Hockey Princess. Guys, we have 3 games this upcoming week: Edmonton Oilers, Nashville Predators, and the St. Louis Blues. We've played everybody before, so not a ton of new information, but little different bits and bobs and different pieces from each team. Starting off with Edmonton, currently they are tied for first with the Vegas Golden Knights in the Pacific. Their last 10 are 7-2-1. They do have a back to back with playing us. They are playing St. Louis in St. Louis on Tuesday, and then they come here to play on Wednesday. So it is a back to back for them, but it's a back to back with not a ton of distance in between. For injured reserve, we still have Evander Kane out on long-term injured reserve with knee issue. He's projected to be end of February, but we don't know. I feel like knee is a very complicated situation. Well, most injuries are complicated. We also have Alec Regula out with knee. His ETA is also February 22nd. There were quite a few guys that were out with illness just on like a day-to-day. I believe there's like some sort of stomach bug, whether it's norovirus or something else. But it seems like a lot of teams have been hit with a stomach bug. It also just may be the time of year. So there's a couple of guys that were out this past weekend, but they should be fine going into this week. McDavid is back from the suspension. You have Klingberg that's also back for Edmonton. Just as a reminder, some notable names for forwards: you've got McDavid, you've got Draisaitl, you've got Zach Hyman, you've got Nugent Hopkins, you've got Victor Arvidsson. On defense, you've got Ekholm, Nurse, Bouchard. And then for goaltending tandem, Skinner and Picard. I imagine Skinner plays in St. Louis and then we get Picard. It's also just what I'm hoping. Maybe a little easier, but who knows? Not a ton in the pipeline for Edmonton, just because, like we've explained before, with like Edmonton, Vegas, Florida, teams that are consistently in the playoffs year in and year out aren't really going to have a ton in the pipeline because they're trading away most of their draft capital to get players right now. Again, it's the same stuff, really. They've got amazing goal scorers on this team. I really do hope that we do a better job at matching up in terms of lines matching up against Edmonton. I wasn't really impressed with our line matchup last time that we played Edmonton. Everyone kind of made a big deal about how Doc and NASCAR and Reichel were on the same line and nobody touched the puck. It's because they were matched up against Draisaitl's line. They're not going to touch the puck. And that's not a bad thing against them. It's just that they're kids, and Leon Draisaitl is Leon Draisaitl. Next game is Nashville. They are 7th out of 8th in the Central. They are 5-5-0 in their last 10. Big break. They played Monday, and then they don't play again until Friday. So they've got a little bit of time off. Whether that will help them or hurt them, every team's different, and I feel like every break is different. Injured reserve, you've got Jankowski out with an upper body. He's expected to come back February 7th. Lawson with lower body ETA is February 3rd. UC Saros back at any point. And then Roast undisclosed, projected end of February. Nashville's kind of a mess. Not as much of a mess as we are. But they're definitely figuring out things. I'm still very surprised that Andrew Brunette hasn't been fired yet, and nothing against Andrew Brunette, but I feel like with this team, they were very much having the expectation going into this year that they were going to be in the playoffs, and now really does not seem like that. Forwards, you've got Forsberg, Stamkos, Marchessault, Ryan O'Reilly. Defenseman, Roman Josi, Brady Shea. Goaltending, UC Saros, Justin Annanen. Like I said, they're kind of a mess. Not as much as us, but still a mess. St. Louis, no back-to-back. They play Florida at home on Thursday, and then they play Chicago at home on Saturday. They are 4-6-0 in their last 10. They are 6th in the Central out of 8. Injured reserve, you've got Nick Leddy with a lower body. He's week to week. Torrey Krug is still long-term injured reserve with the ankle. He's just out. I think we'll have more of an update going into the summer and going into next year with him. You've got Parayko, who's out with an illness. Again, I think the stomach bug is kind of going around different teams, whether something's going around or if it's just the time of year. Who knows? Really none of my business. Um, St. Louis had a decent December, has struggled a bit in the beginning of this new year, um, but who knows? I feel like St. Louis right now, they're definitely not good enough to be contending with the top portion of the Central Division, but they're definitely above us in Nashville, as much as it pains me to say that. For forwards, you've got Kyrou, Thomas, Shen, Buchnevich, defensemen, Falk, Brayko, and then goaltending, you have Binnington and Hoffer for their goaltending tandem. So, like I said, we've got Edmonton on Wednesday, we've got Nashville on Friday, and then we have St. Louis on Saturday. And also, just as a reminder, if you're going to Wednesday or Saturday's game this week, please wait for the whistle. Do not get up all the pucks in play. And if you hear a girl yelling at you saying, "Move," it's me. That is all. And we will talk at you guys next week.